Hi everyone, Nicholas Buffett is here from sunny Cyprus, and today's tutorial, a past paper, paper 3 for the year 2023. It's a February-March paper. Now, I sometimes find these papers a little bit easier than the November or the June papers, but let's get started with this one and see what's in store for us. Okay, let's start with our question paper first of all, and we can scroll down, have a look. Now, remember always to read absolutely everything on this question paper. So first off, it starts with saying you should have these files. So I've got my files open right here. We can see I've got my files. I've also got my electronic version of the question paper here as well. Okay, next, task 1, evidence document. So create a new word process document. Make sure your name, center number, and candidate number will appear on every page of this document. Save this document in your work area called this, and followed by your center number, candidate number, for example, that you will use this evidence document during the examination. So first step, let's go make my evidence document. So I'm going to right click here, new Word document. I'm just going to call that evidence, and I'm going to open this document. Let's just drag this up. It's over here. Here it is. Next step, I'm going to make sure I've got my name, center number, and candidate number on every page. CY127 12345 for my candidate number, as I don't have a candidate number. Okay, and I'm supposed to save this in my work area with a particular name, which I didn't. So I'm just going to click on save. So this is M23 evidence underscore followed by your center number CY127 and underscore 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my candidate number. So there we go. All right, let's go back to question paper. Spreadsheets. Okay. The Tawara Cricket Club records on the spreadsheet the number of runs scored by each player in each match that they played. Now, this is important that you read this and you understand this. If you don't, you won't understand what that data is all about. So this is to do with how many runs each player, the number of runs they've scored for each match. Okay, so let's go have a look at the file. Before open and examine the file this in your spreadsheet software. All right, so I'm just going to go open that up very quickly. So that's M23 batting. Here it is. Okay, that's a big table. So let's have a look and see what we've got. So we've got match 1, match 2, match 3, all the way up to match 17. Got a blank column here, not out. That's number of matches played, average score. And then here, from what I can see, these are names. So these are my players. This is the match, the different matches. And these are the runs that each player has scored in each match based on what I've just read. Okay, so let's go back to the question paper. It says delete row 2, insert a new row at the top of the spreadsheet, and then we're going to do some merge. So let's do this first. So I'm going to delete row 2. I'm going to go to the row number. I'm going to right click on the row number 2 right there, and I'm going to press delete. And then I want to insert a new row at the top of the spreadsheet. So to do that again, I'm going to right click on row number 1 and I'm going to press insert. There we go. I've got a new row at the top. Now again, there's so many different ways to do the same thing when we're using applications, not just Excel but any kind of application, whatever works for you. I always like the right mouse click because it's my best friend. Whenever I want to know if something can be done, then I will right click on that item. And in that context menu, you will find everything that you can do, generally. Okay, then it wants, let's jump over here. Merge cells A1 to V1, place the text Tawara Cricket Club. I'm just going to copy that from here. Okay, in this merged cell. So let's go back. Now, from A1 to V1, I'm going to merge. Now I can merge. Now there's a number of ways. I like doing this merge. Instead of merge and center, I always like using merge across. Because if you use merge and center, it will center align your text, and it didn't really say to center align anything yet. You can, of course, take it back again, but I'm just going to use merge across so you can see how that works. So you can see now that I've pasted my title here, it hasn't placed it in the center, it's placed it on the left. Okay, next part, we're going to merge cells A2 to V2. So from A2, this one here, all the way to V2. Again, I'm going to do merge across. If I do merge and center, that's what that looks like. You see, it merges everything together and it centers it, but it didn't say center. So I'm just going to undo that, and I'm going to, again, use merge across. Okay, now then, place in the footer, right align the text spreadsheet edited by, followed by a space, your name, center number, and candidate number. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that. And from here, I'm going to go to my page layout, and I'm going to choose, actually go to view, not my layout. I'm going to use my page layout view, and that allows me to see the headers and footers. So I want to go footer right aligned. So I'm going to go to the bottom, go down here, right aligned, spreadsheet edited by, okay, followed by a space, your name, center number, space, and my candidate number. Okay, there we go. Now, remember, when it gives you these things, spreadsheet edited by, make sure you write them exactly as they're displayed on the question paper. All the small letters, capital letters, exactly the same. Okay, I'm going to go back to view normal. And go back to my question paper. Right, save this as a spreadsheet with the file name N23 Cricket, center number, and we need to save it with this. There we go. Right, so I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to go to Options. Should be M23 Cricket underscore center number CY127 candidate number underscore 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and there we go. And if I just make sure I save this now as a spreadsheet, so Excel workbook, and I click on save. I'm just going to check my folder. There we go. And I should have my spreadsheet here. And there it is there. M23 evidence, CY127, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to our question paper. So that part's done. Let's have a look here now. Format the spreadsheet to look like this. Let's just zoom that in a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so we can see at the top we've got some dark shading. We've got text is white, it is larger. The row number 1 is probably about 4 or 5 times the normal rows 4, 5, 6. We've got row 2, which is shaded. So we're going to go through all of this very carefully. We can see it goes up to number 31 here. It doesn't show everything. Here we've got some text wrapping over here in columns T, U, and V. So let's begin with that. I won't be going backwards and forwards all the time. So I'm just going to jump over here and start working with this. So the first one is I'm going to expand the size of row 1. I'm going to select it. It is center aligned now, so I am going to choose center align. I'm going to give it a dark background from here. That's probably, yeah, that one's good. I'm going to make the writing white. Now the writing is a sans serif font, and the font that I've got here already is sans serif. I'm just going to enlarge that quite a bit. And I'm going to work on this. I'm going to check rows first and then columns. Okay, and then I'll double check everything. So I'm going to work first of all on all the rows. So row number 1 looks pretty much okay for now. Let's go to row number 2. This had a lighter gray background, so we're going to go with this one. Again, it's center aligned. Again, the text is a bit bigger. So round about from when the W begins all the way to where the C ends. So I'm just checking. If you have a look over here in the question paper, that's what I'm going by. The alignments here, the F is where round about the W is, the S where the C is. The top one, this one here, the title, I'm looking at the column letters, but not entirely because I haven't adjusted the widths of my column letters yet. So I'm really just looking at the format of everything else. Okay, let's just do the rest of it. So row number 3 we're looking at now. That's probably around about 4 or 5 times that. Now everything, I'm going to select all of this. All of this seems to be, well, not seems to be, it is aligned in the center of the cell. So for that, I'm just going to go to home, and I've got my alignments here. So I'm going to align that to the top, and it's also horizontally aligned to the center. There you go. That looks good. And these ones here, these are actually text wrapped. So I'm just going to select these. I'm not going to select the rest of them. And I'm going to go to alignment, and I'm going to make those to be wrap text. Now, it's actually done it perfectly for me. And if you can't get this here to match, as you adjust the width of these columns, you can see what's happening here. I'm just going to zoom in here for you just to make it a bit easier. As I change the width of these columns, you can see what is on each line changes. But if you want to move something down and it's not moving for you, let's say it's looking like that, and you want it there, you want the word of on the next line. If you just go to the beginning of that, I'm going to delete the space, and I'm going to hold the Alt key on my keyboard down and press Enter. And that basically breaks the line. And I can do the same for that one, and then delete that, Alt, Enter, and there you go. So now when I actually change the width of this, you see it doesn't bring those words back up again. And if I want to do played as well, so I'm just going to backspace that, Alt, Enter, and that's going to make sure even if I adjust the width of my column, it won't bring those words up. So I'm just going to make sure I don't lose any marks there. So give that a go. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit there. So here it wants the not out on 2 separate lines. So I'm going to do the same, backspace, Alt, and Enter. And the average score as well. So if I expand that, there you go. I'm just going to delete that, Alt, and Enter. Now my text wrapping looks good. Okay, so that's that row done. Now, I don't see anything else as far as the rows, so I'm going to go column by column now. So I'm going to look at the first column. I can see that on the first column, I should have everything displayed properly. So if I just go back over here, I'm just going to double click between the A and the B, and that's going to automatically adjust the width to make sure everything fits. Now, can you see I've got these ones here, 33 and 34 as well. So I'm just going to align the entire column, and it wants that column to be right aligned. There we go. And do we have anything else on the other columns? I think I'm pretty much okay here. Yep, looks good. So if I look over here, I don't think I've missed anything out, but if I have, guys, you know the drill. Call me out, throw it in the comments. So I'm just going to have a quick look because I'm going to try and make sure that I don't leave anything out this time. Formatting the not out. Ah, right, this column here, S. Column S here, it's narrower. So I'm just going to go back. Hey, you were going to call me out on that one, weren't you? There we go. So that looks like that. And there we go. Okay, I'm not going to spend any more time on that. So now what we're going to do is go to the question paper and have a look at the next part. Right, format row 1 to have a 36. Oh, so it's actually, I should have read that, shouldn't I? It should be 36 points sans serif font. Well, okay, and row 2, 18 points. So let's go have a look and see what I've got. Oh, look at that. I didn't actually make it 36. So by looking at the column letters and everything, and this should be 18. Yep, so I got that right as well. So the title should be 36. The subtitle here should be 18 points. But because I was going with the size of the text based on where the column letters are, and then the second row based on my first title, I actually got them right. Not bad. Okay, next part. We want place in cell U4 a function to count the number of matches played by this player. Replicate this formula for each player. So here in U4, this one here, I want to count how many of matches this player has played. So the matches are these ones here. And we can see this guy here, this match, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, he didn't play. So we're going to do this easily using the count function. Now remember, the count function will return the number of cells that you have selected which contain numerical data. So I'm only going to select from match 1 all the way to match 17. I'm using the count function because the count will only return the cells which I've selected which contain numerical data. So if I press enter, that's 9. If I was to go in this one and put some text, that will not change because this is not numerical. So let's just get that down. And I need to copy that down. That was a simple function there, especially for 3 marks. And that goes all the way down to here. That's fine. Perfect. So we've done that one. We finished number 3. Right, number 4, place in cells B33 and B34 functions to display the highest and lowest scores for this match. Replicate this for all other matches. Okay, this seems easy. As I said, some of these papers, the March papers, are quite easy. So if I go to B34, so I want the highest, so that's going to be equals to max. I'm going to select that, and I want the highest for the match, the highest number of runs. So I'm only going to select, now guys, please be careful, don't just select everything. We only want to select up to here, up to B31, okay? Because there's no point selecting extra cells. You'll only end up making mistakes. Press enter, so that's the max, and here I'm going to do the min. Really basic functions here. Surprise, and they give you 5 marks for this? Wow, whoever sat this paper, you were lucky. Okay, so there we go. And I want to replicate this for all the other matches. So I'm just going to select these 2 here, and I'm going to drag these over all the way up to that point there, which is up to column R, which is match 17. So I only want to go up to there. This actual narrow column here, S, is helping me because when I get to that, I know that's where the end of the matches are. Okay, let's go back. So, now it gets a little bit more complicated. Place a replicable formula. So replicable, I should be able to copy this down. There may be absolute references here. In cell V4 to calculate the average score for this player rounded to 1 decimal place. The average score is the total runs scored divided by the number of matches played minus not out. So let's go over here. I want total runs scored, the number of matches played and not out. Okay. So total runs scored for this player here is going to be the total of all these runs. Because remember, right at the beginning, we read, when we were reading the description of this spreadsheet, it said it records the number of runs each player has scored in each match. So I need to sum all of these. So I'm going to start off with that. I'm going to start off equals to sum, open brackets, and I'm going to select these up to there. Oh, up to there. Okay, close the bracket. So that's just the sum. Now you're going to see up here, I'm going to be working down here, but look at the formula bar because I've actually zoomed my screen. It's easier for you to see the formula. So this is just giving me the total number of runs. Now I want to divide this by the number of matches played minus the not out. So number of matches played, I've got that here. For this player here in U4, we've already calculated that. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to say divided by, and I want whatever the number of matches, oh, sorry, not that one, right there. So I'm going to go here and go divided by number of matches played, which is whatever is inside U4, minus the not out, minus this one. Now, here's where you need a little bit of care. If I was to enter this formula, it's actually going to do the sum of B4 to R4 divided by U4, and then the result of this is going to be T4 is going to, the value of T4 is going to be subtracted from that. That's not what we want, okay, because it works with the mathematical hierarchy. Multiplication, division comes first. subtraction and addition comes second. So I need to put this in brackets. This is to ensure that the first thing it does is what's in brackets. So it's going to do U4 minus T4, and then it's going to do the sum of B4 to R4, and it's going to take away the result of that there. Okay, so be very careful with this. So I'm just going to press enter, and there we go. I've got my score here. It's 82.14286. Now, it said it should be rounded to 1 decimal place. So I need to round this to 1 decimal place. So I'm going to click right after the equal sign. I'm going to type round, open brackets. This is my number. So the result of this is going to be a number. We know what that is, 82.1 something. So after that number, I'm going to put comma, and I want to round it to 1 decimal place. So I'm going to put a 1 there. If I put a 2 here, it's going to round to 2 decimal places. If I put a 2 there. If I put a 0, it will round it to a whole number, so an integer. If I put it to -1, it will round it up to the nearest tens. If I put a -2 to the nearest 100ths. So you can try that and make sure you know how that works. There we go. Average score 82.1. Great. Let's go back over and see what the question paper says. So I've done that. Then it says edit this formula to make sure that cell contents are not displayed if this player has fewer than 5 matches. So I had to replicate this first. So let's go and replicate it and see what the... Okay, and can you see here, I'm getting some division by zeros here. Okay, and maybe that's why they want that other function in there. So let's go have a look. So it says here, edit this formula to make sure that cell contents are not displayed if the player has played fewer than 5 matches. And that there is your key if. So that's going to be an if function. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm going to go and click on my average score here, the very first one, and I need to modify this formula. Now, this is correct. It's finding my average, but I want to do a logical test first. So I need to add an if function. So right before the round, after the equals, I'm going to put if, and now I want my logicals test or my statement. I like calling it a statement. Now, my statement is going to be that what's inside U4 here is less than 5, comma. So that declares my statement. And I'm basically saying whatever's inside U4, it's less than 5, and my statement can either be true or it can be false. And whether it's true or false depends on what is actually inside U4. Now, if my statement is true and it is less than 5, then I want to return nothing. So I'm going to put double speech marks like that and comma. So this is my criteria or my statement. This is my result if my statement is true, and then if my statement is false, that's my result there. And my result will be false if what's inside U4 is either 5 or larger than 5. So I'm just going to close my if statement here with my bracket, press enter, and there we go. Now if I copy this down, you can see this one here and this one, all of these here, they're blank for the average score because the number of matches played is less than 5. Same with that one and same with these 3. Perfect, it worked. So we can move on. That's 11 marks, guys. That is absolutely amazing. 11 marks. Now, it's not a difficult formula. You just need to build the formula up slowly. Don't try and read all of this and do it in one go. Do what I did. I first did my sum, then I did my calculation with my division, then I did my round, and then I did my if function. So I'm building it up slowly. So if it doesn't work, I know exactly which step is causing the issue. Okay, replicate this formula for all players. We've done that. Now, save your spreadsheet. So I need to go and save that in a second. Right, save and then print your spreadsheet showing the formula. Make sure that the row and column headings are displayed, the grid lines are displayed, page orientation is landscape, and the contents of all cells are fully visible and can be easily read. So let's go and do that now. So first step, I'm going to file and save, just to make sure everything is saved. Now I want to print my spreadsheet. So I want it row and column headings are displayed. So I'll get to that. Grid lines are displayed. So I'm going to select my entire table like this. And I'm going to put my grid lines. Now I'm going to do that from here. There we go. So I've got my grid lines. Page orientation is landscape. So I could go to page layout and flip that over from here. I could go to the page setup as well. I prefer the page setup. Don't ask me why. It's long-winded, but it gives me an opportunity to see what else I can do in this dialog box. Okay, so it just keeps me in tune, and this way I don't forget other functions that may not be available in the ribbon. I'm going to go to that one. I can see my break, my page break here. There it is. That dotted line there. That's 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages. I don't like the fact that this is going to be printed. These rows are going to be printed at the end, but we'll see how it goes. And we're looking to show the formulas. So I'm going to go to formulas and I'm going to show formulas. There we go. And that's even longer now. Can you see that? Now we need to make sure that all our formulas are visible. So you can see here we've got these ones being chopped off. So I'm going to select everything by clicking this top left corner here, double clicking between 2 columns, and that's going to adjust everything to make sure everything displays. Nothing is going to be chopped off. There we go. Perfect. Okay, the contents of the cells are fully visible, page orientation, landscape, grid lines. So now I just want to make sure the column headings are displayed. So I'm going to go to File, Print, and I'm going to go to my page set. Now I can see I've got 6 pages. That's quite a bit. It doesn't matter, but if I go to Page Setup and just go to Sheet, make sure that I select the row and column headings. These are needed so that the examiners can see exactly where you've put those formulas. That's what they're interested in. They can see that here you've put that formula here in V4. All right, but what I'm going to do, because this is really big, it's quite big, I'm going to mess around with this. You don't have to do this, but the easier you make things for the examiner, hopefully the examiner will go a lot easier on you. So I'm just going to go to my page setup, go to my margins. I'm going to reduce the left and right margins, not too small. Okay, and once you've printed this, just double check your printing to make sure nothing's been cut off. I'm going to make my top and bottom margin a bit smaller as well. That will allow more things to fit. Haven't made much of a difference there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, because there's only 4 or 5 rows at the bottom which are not fitting. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to the scaling, and I'm going to choose fits all rows on 1 page. Now this is going to make it a little bit smaller, but hopefully not too small. Okay, that's a little bit, but can you see here at the bottom down here, I've actually made my margin too small. So my information at the bottom is getting mixed up with the data. So I'm just going to go back to my page setup, margins, increase the bottom margin a little bit there. There we go. That's a lot better. Now the examiner can see all of the rows on 1 page. I've still got 3 rows. That's absolutely 3 pages. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, that looks good. And you can mess around with this a bit more if you want, but that's absolutely fine. Even if you don't do this, again, that's fine. That's the whole reason we're adding these things at the top. Now, I'm not going to print these off. I'm just going to print them to my PDF printer. So I'm just going to click on Print, and I'm going to save this in my file here. So I'm just going to call that PR1, printout 1, save. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to zoom out, go back to my question paper. Right, then it says sort all the data for the players in descending order of their average score. Those players who do not have an average score displayed must be at the bottom of the list. So I just need to sort this data. So that's pretty much okay. Okay, so I'm suspecting I need to take it back now to normal view. So I'm going to get rid of formulas. And again, I'm going to double click between 2 columns, doesn't matter which, so I can make sure all the data is displayed. And I want to sort based on average score. So let's do that first. Now to do this, here's some, I'll just zoom out a little bit so here so you can notice something. I only want to sort this data up to here. I don't need to sort this thing down here where I've got my highest and lowest, and I don't need to sort the titles. So I'm going to be very careful. I'm only going to select the data which I need to be sorted, just that part there. Okay. Now with that done, I'm now going to go to Data ribbon. I'm going to choose Sort, and I'm going to choose to sort. So column 8, right. So I need to say my data has headers. So I have selected my headers at the top. So I need to tick that. There you go. And now it's going to have my headers here. There we go. Average score. And I want from players who do not have an average. So the smallest to the largest. Like that. No, actually, in descending order. Sorry. Right, so I want to do that again, sort, and I want that from largest to smallest. Okay, so I'm going from largest to smallest, but what I am noticing here is that these ones here, and this is why they actually said that. Oh, the sneaky examiners. So these guys here that don't have an average score, and this is what Excel will do, it will add them to the top, and then it will put the largest ones going to the smallest. But they've specifically said they want those players who do not have an average score displayed must be at the bottom of the list. Interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and I'm going to make some changes. So I'm going to do this again. And I want to get these guys at the bottom. So I'm going to select all of this again. I'm going to go to sort. This time I'm going to sort them smallest to largest. There we go. Okay, so that's got these guys who are blanks at the bottom. Okay, so that's these guys here which are blank down here. They're at the bottom. But these are not sorted in the right order. I need them up. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to select these guys from here to here and only sort this part of the list. Cheeky, aren't they? Right, so let's just go to sort. And this time, that selection, largest to smallest. There we go. So I've got the largest to smallest from here to here, and the ones which do not have an average score, they're at the bottom down there. Okay, so I had to basically break up my table. The trick in this one was essentially sorting everything from smallest to largest first, and then selecting what was left over. Okay, I like that. I like that. Let's now go to the question paper. So I've done that. Right, save your spreadsheet with the file name M23Cricket1. All right, so we're going to go over here. File, save as. M23Cricket1, center number, candidate number. Cricket1. So I'm just going to put a 1 there, M23Cricket1, and then save. There it is up there. And then it says print your spreadsheet showing the values. So I want print your spreadsheet showing the values. Okay, the row and column headings are not displayed. The grid lines are not displayed. The page orientation is landscape. And the contents of all cells are fully visible. Okay. So first of all, I need to get rid of all the grid lines. So I'm going to select my entire table, home, go to my borders and just put no border. Then I'm going to go to File Print. And from Print, there you go, I've got no border. I don't want the row and column headings. So we're going to get rid of that. Okay. So no row and column headings, no grid lines, page orientation is landscape, the contents of all cells are fully visible. And it doesn't say whether it should be on 1 page or 2 pages or whatever, so this is fine, I'm on 2 pages. Yep, that looks good. And basically what they want to see on this one is to make sure not all the alignments are correct, the formatting, and we've got this thing down here where we've sorted the data out properly. Okay, so I'm just going to print that off. I'm going to call that printout 2. Now, you're obviously going to be printing on paper, but this is for me. Save. And now I can go back to my question paper. Okay, that's it for the Excel. Wow, that was awesome. That wasn't bad, was it? A little bit tricky with the sorting, but I think this question here, which was 11 marks, this simple calculating question here, those are some nice 3 marks. Even if you don't get the absolutely everything, every part of that formula correct or that function correct, there's a lot of marks to be got from there. And 11 marks just for that one question, that's a lot of marks, especially for a paper which overall is only 70 marks. That's a lot, more than 10%. Okay, so let's move on to the next part, which is file management and image manipulation. Okay, create a new folder called TCC. So let's jump over and locate the following files and store them in your TCC folder. So I'm going to jump over here, new folder. So right click, new folder. I'm going to call that TCC. Remember capital letters where it says capital letters. So I want M23 BAT, M23 logo, M23 BAT, and M23 logo, and M23 TCC, the HTM, and the TXT. So I'm going to move all of these inside my TCC folder. And let's open that up. Okay, so I've got a HTML file, text file, and 2 images. Okay, next it says open and edit the file m23logo.jpg by reflecting, flipping it horizontally, rotating it 100 degrees so that the text is readable, reducing the image dimensions to 900 pixels wide by 180 pixels high. Save this new image in your TCC folder in .png format using the name that, followed by your candidate number, for example, that. Display the contents of your TCC folder showing the folder name, all file names, file extensions, image dimensions, and file sizes. Take a screenshot, put that in your evidence document. Okay, so let's do that now. So first thing is I'm going to open the M23 logo. That's this one here. So I'm going to go right click, open that with Photoshop. Now you can use any imaging software for this. We use Photoshop. So there it is there. So the first thing I'm going to do is to flip this horizontally. So I'm going to go to image, rotate, image rotation, flip horizontally. And then I want to rotate 180 degrees. So image, rotate, again, 180. And there you go, it's now readable. The next step is change the dimensions to 900 pixels wide by 180 high. So I'm going to go to image, image size. Here's the dialog box that's opened up. I'm going to change that, and I'm going to make sure this here is linked. If I break that link there, that basically means I'm going to kill the aspect ratio. When I adjust the width, it won't adjust the height. So I just need to make sure the aspect ratio is locked. So I'm going to change that to 900. And there you go. You can see from 900 width, it's got 180 high, which is exactly what it wanted. Now, if it wanted 900 width and it wanted 200 high, then I would have to break that link and change that manually like that, because that will allow me to have different width and height, which is not maintaining the aspect ratio. But since I do want that, I'm going to just change that like that. Click OK. Perfect. And now I want to save this. So I'm going to go to File, Save a Copy, and I'm going to choose a PNG format. I always have trouble finding exactly the one I'm looking for here. There we go, PNG. And I want it called TCC logo. So I'm just going to call that TCC logo underscore, followed by your candidate number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, that, click OK. So I'm going to save that. I'm just going to leave it as a large file size. It doesn't say anything about file size. And then I'm going to close that because I'm finished with that. Do I want to save that? Nope. Leave that alone. So now I want to display the contents of your TCC folder showing the folder name, all file names, file extensions, and image dimensions. So the one that I like best is this one. If I go to view content, because content shows you the extensions, it also shows you the size, and I actually want one with the dimensions as well. Does it give me the dimensions? There you go. Now you see I had that a little bit, I had that view finder open there. So there we go. So I can see the dimensions, the file name, the extension, the size, everything. And I also want to show that folder. So I'm just going to move this over here a bit because I don't want them seeing my folder structure over there. And there we go. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. New. And there we go. And I need to make sure I've got my folder name displayed. Here it is here. Just for argument's sake, it is that part there. The TCC shows my folder, all my files. So I'm just going to go to File, Save. Actually, no, I need to put this in my evidence document. So I'm going to go back one step, open my evidence, and I'm just going to put, this is number 9. So I'm just going to call that Q9 for question 9 and paste that there. Now, this is in dark mode. I don't suggest you use dark mode. It doesn't print well. So if you are using dark mode, try to avoid it, especially for the exam or at least for your printing. Control S to save, and I can minimize that. Okay, let's jump over here. So I've done all of this. I'm hoping I haven't forgotten anything, but again, call me out if I have. Okay, we're going to start now with the web page. And it says here, you're going to create the style sheet and part of a web page for the Tawara Cricket Club. So only part of a web page. The web page and style sheet must work in any browser. All colors or all color codes are in hexadecimal, and any new color codes must also be in hexadecimal. Make sure that the style sheet contains no HTML. Make your HTML and style sheet as efficient as possible. That's important. That one now. Okay, so we're going to, we use Dreamweaver. Again, style sheets are basically text files, so you can use the text editor, but it just basically means that you need to know how to write the code rather than having applications like Dreamweaver to create the code for you. So we use Dreamweaver. I'm going to open up Dreamweaver quickly. And I need to start a new style sheet called m23tcc.css. So I will do that now. I'm going to jump over here. Here's Dreamweaver. I've opened it up. I'm going to go to File, New, CSS, Create. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to put this in my folder with all the other files. There it is. And I need to call this. So this is going to be a CSS file, m23tcc. m23tcc, all small letters, and I'm just going to press enter. I'm going to open up my folder and make sure it's there. There it is, m23tcc CSS. So the extension is correct as well. Okay, let's have a quick look at the paper. So I'm going to be working on this. I'm actually going to, can I bring this over a little bit? I'll take a screenshot of this. That way I can pop it up a bit easier. So I'm just going to take a quick screenshot of that. Okay, so I'm just going to be able to be popping this up a little bit easier rather than switching screens all the time. So there we go. That'll be there. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is add CSS to the style sheet to meet these specifications. Background. So the color is going to be this. Now, straight away, I can see they've got the colors the wrong way around. Cheeky little gits. Look at that. It should be red, green, and blue. So this one has to be first, then this one, and then this one. So it's going to be 6D040A. H1, 2, 3, and P, the paragraph styles. So these will have to be grouped together for efficient programming techniques, and then something here for the table. So let's begin with this one here, the background. So the first step I want to do is to make my CSS designer appear. So that's over here somewhere. There it is. And if that wasn't there, I could just make sure that my CSS designer is enabled in the window, in that window menu. Now I need to add, I'm going to go to selectors. I'm going to add a tag. The one that I'm looking for is body. So if you just type out body, press enter and enter again, we get the body tag. A classic issue students have is this thing here is ticked where it says show set. Now, when that's ticked, it only shows the properties that you've used. Well, I haven't used any properties here, so it's not displaying anything. So you just need to make sure that's not ticked. So I'm going to go to the quick access from here. So I'm going to go to the background one, that one there. I'm going to choose the background color, and I'm going to use what it's told me here, which is, so red, green, and then blue, 6D040A. So I'm just going to change that to 6D040A. Okay, and remember, don't get rid of that hashtag from there, because that's basically stating it's a hexadecimal code. All right, I'm just going to press enter there. So there's my color. Next, I want H1, 2, 3, and P to be font style domino. If that's not available, domino regular. If that's not available, the default sans serif font, and font color yellow. All right, so I'm just going to go add a selector. I'm only going to add the H1 for now. I'm going to add the rest later. I'm going to press enter and enter. There's my H1. I'm going to go to my text in my CSS properties here. I'm going to go to font family, and I'm just going to choose the shortest one that's got a serif font at the end, because it says it has to be a serif font. Okay, and it wants domino and then domino regular. So everything apart from that one there, I'm just going to get rid of. I'm going to call the first one domino, comma, and then I want domino regular. Now, domino regular is actually 2 words, and there's a space there, so I have to put it in speech marks. Okay, so after that, I'm going to write speech marks, domino regular, and then I can close my speech marks and put my comma. So this basically says this line here, the font family is going to display is going to be the domino font. If that's not available on the user's computer, it's going to look for domino regular. And this has got speech marks because there's a space here. And it's the only way it will know that this isn't 2 different fonts, domino and regular. Okay, and then if these aren't available, the default serif font. And I want the font color to be yellow. So from here, so make sure I'm in the H1 here. I'm going to go to my font, choose the color. I'm going to choose a yellow. And I'm just going to change that so it's a pure yellow. So that's going to be just red and green. So I'm going to put FF00. You don't have to, as long as it's yellow, because that will be fine. But if it does say yellow and just yellow, then try and make it the pure yellow color. If it says red, then that will be FF0000. Press enter. And that's it for the font. So now I just need to add the H2, 3, and P. So to do that, at the beginning here with the tag, I'm just going to put H2, H3, and P. So this basically means that any text which is in the tag for heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, or paragraph will have this font, and it will be yellow. Okay, next. So we've done that as well. We've done that and we've done that. Okay, so table tag now. So the alignment should be centered within the browser window. So there's going to be a table, and we want that table within the width of that window. It should be in the middle. Okay, center within the browser window. It doesn't say horizontally or vertically, so I'm going to do all of them. Now, if you do more than is required, that's not a problem, providing the extra that you've done does not affect what they have asked you to do. So to play safe here, I'm just going to add another selector, table. And from table, I'm going to go to here. This is where my table is, table and board. And I'm going to do the margins. I need to set the margins to be automatic, because what that's going to do is, if my table is only 50% of the window width, then having automatic margins means it's going to see how much is left over. That's 50, and it'll put 25% on one side, 25% on the other side, meaning the margins will keep the table in the center of my browser window. So I'm going to click on that link here, and that's going to make all of these change to be the same. Click on this one. Actually, if I can click there and click on auto, all of these are now automatic. Now, if I remove that, then I just need to do them all one by one. And you can see here the top margin, the right margin, the bottom and the left are all automatic. Chances are I don't need the top and bottom, and the reason is you would never really align your table in the middle of a website vertically, because that will mean you've got space on the top, space on the bottom, and usually web pages are very, very long, so there really isn't a top and bottom margin. But it doesn't matter. If it only wants the left and the right, having the top and bottom there as well is not going to affect the marking. Remember, examiners mark positively, not negatively, and this is actually described in the examiner's report. And I think if you look at the examiner's report, you will see that they're always asked to mark positively. It's also specified in the curriculum. Okay, so the next thing it wants is borders collapsed and not visible. So while I'm in here, I'm going to go to the borders section, this one here, and I'm going to choose border collapse. So that's collapse, and it now says border collapse, and it says borders not visible. Now, unless I tell it, it won't have borders, but I'm just going to make sure, and I'm going to go to the borders, which is here, and I'm going to go to the width and just change that to pixels 0, and that will just make sure no borders will appear. Okay, and so I've done that. I've done that and that. Place your name, center number, and candidate number as a comment at the start of the style sheet. Okay, so we can see whenever we start the CSS in Dreamweaver, it gives us this comment at the top, CSS document. We know it's a comment because it's in the /* and then //. If I was to get rid of that end, star and slash, you can see all of my code now is gray, which means all of this is a comment and it won't work. So be very careful with that. So I'm just going to add my star and slash, and I'm going to write my comment here, and it basically wants my name, center number and candidate number, CY12712345. Okay, I should get rid of that C from there. Okay, and then it says save your style sheet, place a copy of your style sheet in your evidence document, make sure. So I need to save this style sheet. I'm just going to go to File, Save, and so place a copy. It doesn't say a screenshot, it says a copy. Have a look. So it says save your style sheet and place a copy of your style sheet in your evidence document. So I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to select this. I'm going to copy that, right-click, copy, go to my evidence document. I can give that a number 10 or question 10. Q10. I can also call it in bracket style sheet, whatever makes it easier for the examiners to know what this is. It would help if there we go, sheet. And then I'm going to paste that there. Now this is, make sure it fits on one page, especially if it's short. I've got double line spacing here, so I'm just going to select all of that, and you should know how to do this. So I'm just going to go to my line spacing, make it single and 0 after each. And that just makes it so much easier for the examiner to read. And I'm just going to put that bold so they stand out like that. Okay, there we go. Quick save. And let's go back to here. Okay, so we've done the style sheet. Then open in your TCC folder the web page called M23 TCC HTM. The web page has a structure like this. Okay, each cell contains a letter which must not appear on your final web page. Replace the letter A with this, B with this, C with this, and D with this. Then apply style H2 to all the text in B and D. Okay, make sure the aspect ratio of both images is maintained. Then we're going to edit the web page so that the table fits 85% of the browser window. So that's where we're going to see those margins, left and right margins, making our table fit in the center. Align it to the center. Save the web page. Oh, attach the style sheet and that. Okay, let's begin. So first step is open that in TCC folder. So I'm going to go to File, Open. There's my M23 TCC, my folder TCC. There's the table structure. It's kind of pathetic, isn't it? It's just a really little table. Okay, so the web page has a structure like this. Yes, it does. Right, each cell contains a letter. Okay, replace the letter A with the image TCC logo. So I'm just going to delete that letter A there and any spaces. Insert image. Now it should open in my folder. Okay, and I want that you saved in step 9. Okay, so it's this one here, the one where it's not upside down. There we go. I'm just going to close this CSS thing here. Just click on that there. There we go. Just make that a bit smaller. Good. Now I can see both sides of my table. Right, in B, so in B, the contents of the file M23 text. So this is B. So I want the contents of M23 text. So let's go over here. M23 text is now, I'm going to open that up. Just drag it up into this screen here. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to select all of that. Control C, close that, and I'm going to place that in B. There we go. In C, I want the image m23bat.jpg. So here, I'm going to delete that. Insert image. There's my m23bat. Click OK. And that's a bit unusual there, isn't it? Look at that. It's actually flipped my image. We'll have a look. Hang on, undo. We'll have a look and see what that's going to look like in our browser in a second. But I don't like the look of that. I think they've done something on purpose here. Because what I should be looking at is something like this. This looks like it's kind of flipped it. Anyway, we'll have a look and see what the question says. In D, with the text web page created by, so I want web followed by your name, center number, and candidate number. So in D, I'm going to write web page created by. Does it have a, yep, it's got a colon, and then followed by your name, center number, and candidate number. CY27 1 2 3 4 5. I don't mind that it's text wrapped out. I'm just going to leave that there for now. I'm simply going to move on, and then I'm going to go back and see what I've done and what's gone wrong, or if something's gone wrong, if I need to fix it. Apply style H2 to all text in B and D. So I'm going to select B and D, and I'm going to put format. So in my properties, so if you don't have this properties thing at the bottom down here, make sure you've got your window properties down here ticked. So I'm just going to make that format heading 2. There we go. Okay, make sure the aspect rate, now this is interesting. It says here, make sure the aspect ratio of both images is maintained. So let's go have a look and see what it's given us when we've added. They've probably done something here. So if I click on this image here, it's actually got my width and height. Now that one's correct. I'm just curious about this one. So if we have a look, this one's 320 width, 240 height. But if I go have a look at my image, it's 240 width, 320 height. So it's kind of rotated it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of the width and the height so that the width and height does not change my image. In fact, I'm going to leave it and see what it looks like afterwards when I view it. So I'm just going to leave that there for now. But I definitely need to come back and look into that one. So save the web page and then display the web. Oh, I haven't added the style sheet. So attach the style sheet M23 TCC. So from here, I'm going to go at the bottom where my class is. Now, again, there's many ways of doing this. Attach style sheet, browse, and I'm going to add my style sheet, which I made earlier on. Click OK, and OK. Right, now that looks, okay, those are the colors and everything that I had there. Then it says save the web page. So I'm going to go to File, Save. what have I saved this as, just in case? M23 TCC. Do I need to save it as something else? No, I'm actually replacing that one. So file save. Display the web page in your browser. Take a screenshot. So now I'm going to go have a look and see what this looks like. Let's just drag that over. Right, and straight away we can see now it's the right way round, but it's deformed. And I'm thinking that's got to do with the height and width scenario. I've also forgotten something here. My 85%. Okay, so first I'm going to go and put this to be 85%. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can either move your mouse all the way to the top in this WYSIWYG area here, and you can see it actually turns into that little table icon there. And if I double click there, it should, there we go. Down at the bottom, you can change, it selects all the code for your table right there. And at the bottom, you can change this to 85 in here and change that to percentage. But I prefer, students, you learn how to write the code yourself, because if something doesn't work, sometimes I've also noticed with Dreamweaver, when you do actually modify the width or image sizes sometimes, or cell sizes, dimensions for the tables from the properties area here, it doesn't always work. So I'm going to go instead from the table tag at the top. I'm going to press a space and I'm going to put here width equals to speech marks 85%. And if I click over here now, there we go. Can you see it's also added it down here in the properties area? But we also see now in the WYSIWYG, in this area here, the preview, we've got a margin on the left and the right. It's equal, so it's aligned my table to the center. So that's worked. So I'm just going to do a quick save, file save, make sure that's worked. Open my page again. Where am I? There we go. So if I open that up, right, and we can see here that as I change the width of my browser, that 85% fits nicely. Okay, and it's center aligned. But again, I can see this thing here is deformed. So I am thinking that this is because of the width and height. And if we go have a quick look again, we can see that this picture here should be 240 width and 320 high. Now, if I click on this picture, these are the other way round. So I'm just going to get rid of that because that is changing my dimensions. I'm going to go to file save. Now, it didn't tell me to put the dimensions in there, so they were added automatically. Now, if I reload this, aha, there you go. You can see it actually works now, and that looks perfect. So I'm also going to remove the dimensions of this picture as well. So let's go back, click on that. I'm going to remove the width and height of that one also. There's no need for them. It didn't tell us to change the dimensions of the pictures to a particular width or height, or to take 100% of the cell that it's in. It simply said add the picture. So I can get rid of those codes. File save. Let's just do a quick refresh there. Perfect. And it works fine. All right, good. That's good. We've done that. So now I'm going to go back to my question paper. It now says, save the web page. I've done that. Display the web page in your browser. Take a screenshot evidence and place this in the evidence document. It should display, all the page should be seen. Text can be easily read and the address bar is fully visible. And then we're going to add our HTML source code, a copy of the source code, not a screenshot. So let's go back. I'm going to take a screenshot and I'm going to make sure, I'm just going to, because that there's the same color there, just going to get rid of that there. I'm going to take a screenshot from here. I'm going to take a little bit outside the borders of my browser so they can actually see it's my entire browser. They can see the file name at the top in the address bar, everything there. My margins show perfect. Let's go add that in there. This is question number 13. I'm just going to insert the page break there. Q13. There it is there. And now I also want a copy of my HTML source code. So I'm going to click over here, Control A, Control C, and I'm going to paste that underneath. There you go. That's good. It's kept my formatting from before, so it's single line spacing. So there's my HTML code. All looks good. So we've done that. That's it. Okay, make sure your name, center number, candidate number appear on every page of your evidence document. Save and print your evidence document. So I'm just going to go over here, file, print. First of all, I'm going to save that, file, print. I'm going to print this to my PDF printer, and I'm just going to call that evidence. Make sure this goes in the correct one. PR evidence. Now, I'm only doing this because you will print this on paper. I'm just doing this just for the printing sake of it all. And that's it. That was not a difficult paper. There was a bit of thought process, I thought, in the Excel part of the paper, especially with that function. You had to be careful to put brackets around so you maintain the hierarchy of mathematical calculations. So brackets first, multiplication, division comes second, addition, subtraction third. And there was also a little bit tricky part with the data sorting. We had to sort everything first and then resort half of that table. Be very careful with your selection methods. I think the web design part was pretty basic. The style sheet was really quite simple. A little bit tricky with that picture where it actually deformed the picture. Now, I don't know whether that was only for me or whether that would happen for everyone else as well. I can't say. By all means, if you do actually do this and you do actually use Dreamweaver or you use any other package for the web design part, drop a note in the comments and let me know whether it actually deformed your picture as well. Because in my one, it actually confused the width and the height dimensions. So yeah, by all means. Anyway, if you are taking the exam, good luck with the exam. I hope this tutorial really helped you, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.